you can actually.
You went away. You're gone.
Welcome to Pondering Psalms. We're looking at Psalm 95 today. Beautiful psalm. Curt is excited, more excited than I've ever seen him for anything other than the birth of his children. I think this will take maybe second for him.
Birth of a couple of them, at least.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I've heard that. So, but what we do here is we look at the same psalm. We've been reading Psalm 95. This is Friday, so we read it Monday. Well, I read it Monday through Friday. I think Curt starts on Sunday.
I've been starting on Saturday.
Okay, so you've got a couple of days on me.
Yeah, since we moved it back to Friday for our recording.
I might have to think about doing that. So, and then on Fridays we've been doing this. We've been connecting and talking about our just our takeaways, how it moved us, how it touched us, some of the things that we noticed. And I am, by the way, David Mullins, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm so jazzed. I'm Curt Austin.
All right. Well, I guess we can get right into it since Curt is, as he says, jazzed.
I am jazzed. So here's the thing, Dave. I read this. It took me 3 days before it finally hit me what this was about. It seemed like 2 separate psalms.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And so I was reading up through verses 1 through 7, and then it was like verses 8 through 11 were just, what in the world? I mean, where did this go? Yeah. And so I struggled with it, trying to figure out, because I loved the first 7 verses.
Well, I thought, of course,
this call to worship and this beautiful, and then the last are, again, you guys are just idiots. You forget all about me. You're not following me. And so it wasn't until I really, it just dawned on me how they are intertwined. And I think that's going to be exciting to talk about today.
Yeah. So how do you want to grapple with this today, or ponder this today?
We should ponder this psalm, Dave. We really should. I don't have a drive. There's nothing in me that says that it has to be done a certain way.
Okay.
So whatever you want to go, however you want to go forward.
Well, you said the first 7 verses. There's a couple of call to worships in here. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Actually, 3, I guess. Yeah. Let us sing to the Lord. Let us shout joyfully. Let us come to him with thanksgiving, which is coming up next Thursday. Yeah. So this is a great psalm. Well, the first 7 verses, great psalm for Thanksgiving, although Curt might have some insights on how to incorporate the rest of it in with this first part.
I do. I really do.
Yeah. And really, I don't want to say this is just boilerplate stuff, but it should be for us. I mean, this should just be our default state on how we view God and how we look to God.
Yeah.
He's great, a great king. He holds in his hand the depths of the earth and the mightiest mountains, from the lowest to the highest.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I mean, if you think, if God is holding, they just discovered this last week a new coral reef off of Australia that is it's kind of a mountain peak, but the whole thing's covered in coral, and it's taller than the Empire State Building.
Wow.
And it's just, and just think, okay, God has that in his hands, and then you think of Mount Everest that just towers over the rest of the planet, and he has that in his hand. All of these things, the ocean, deepest oceans, and even the dry land, they belong to him. He formed them. I thought it was just beautifully written.
And I've been going out and looking at the stars and stuff, and I know this isn't talking about the stars, but there was I was looking at my little app that tells me where things are, and it had Planet X. I think it said, here's where Planet X is. And so I looked a little bit more to Planet X, and it said it was theoretical. And I'm thinking, if it's theoretical, how does my app tell me I can see it? And how does my app know where it is? But my point is, God has created all of this stuff, and we're just discovering the stuff at the depth of the ocean that we thought maybe we knew most of that. So we don't know what's in the depth of the ocean. We don't know what's in the universe, in the sky, what's all around us. But yet we think we're pretty great. Really, we are. Oh my goodness, we are not. We are not. But He is.
And that's what this is. This is a call to that. Remember who He is. Right.
Yeah.
The Lord is a great God.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, here. Well, yeah. Okay. So what? 3 call to worships. Come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us come to Him with thanksgiving, and come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for He is our God, and that is our rightful place, is to be kneeling before Him. And the good news is, we are the people He watches over. We are the flock under His care.
And again, I think we've talked about this in another one, but it's interesting that you got this grandiose portrait of God, mountains and depths, and yet when it boils down to it, we're the flock under His care. There's this sweetness to that. It's and so he brings us, the writer of this psalm brings us to this place where we should be on our knees because of this incredible power that God has. But even more than that, he just watches over us.
And He does. Yeah.
We are under His care. And I think that's just so beautiful. This whole first 7 verses are just fantastic. I love them.
So are you ready to pull in the rest of it? All right. Yeah. All right, here we go, man. Bless me.
So then he shifts, right? If only you would listen to His voice today. And then beginning in verse 8. So the ESV actually has, it's a weird split there. And the way the ESV writes that first line is not even as it's like first person, then all of a sudden it shifts to third person, it's third person, then it shifts to the word of God. It's a real weird, very strange. I read through it several times trying to make sense of it, and I couldn't figure out how they had done that. But this, the NLT breaks it up here. So verse 8 is then God talking, right?
Yeah.
The Lord says, don't harden your hearts as Israel did at Meribah, and as they did at Massah. I've got the book coming this week that will tell me how to pronounce these names. I
have one of those books.
I never
give it to me.
They're great books. Massah in the wilderness. And I did a lot of research on this Massah because I was trying to figure out, I didn't remember it. Yeah. And I don't remember it being referenced in our Psalms so far that we've done since we started. But it's basically another time where the people tested God. I mean, He was providing for them, and they still weren't satisfied. Yeah. I think that Meribah and Massah they're 2 distinct places, but they're both places where the people of Israel are just being real stinkers. God's met a lot of their needs, and they just are not happy. It's like it's just not good enough for them.
Well, and also they were questioning whether God was with them.
Yeah, which didn't make any sense because He's leading them through with the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud, and they're still questioning it.
Yeah, is God still with us? Is He? Yeah.
And I'm shaking my head in derision of these folks, just idiots, right? Just idiots. I can't believe it. Well, that I think is the point. That's the point of Psalm 95, right?
What's wrong with them?
He's saying, don't do what they did.
Yeah.
Well, we do it all the time,
Yeah.
And let's go on. Meribah and Massah, for there your ancestors tested and tried my patience, even those they saw everything I did. And we've been reading everything He did really through all of these Psalms, retelling that story of leading them from Egypt and walking them through the Red Sea. And I love this, for 40 years, I was angry with them. I mean, for 40 years, And I said, they are people whose hearts turn away from me. They refuse to do what I tell them. So in my anger, I took an oath. They will never enter my place of rest.
Yeah.
And that's the story.
Yeah. And historically, for those that don't know the background, the people wandered in the desert for 40 years. And that generation that just had trouble with faith and trusting God and moving forward, did not enter that promised land. It was their kids that did, but they did not, except for a couple of them that showed unusual faith in the face of unfaithfulness of everyone else.
Yeah. Talk about peer pressure. They stood up for what they believed and what they knew to be true.
Yeah.
And God honored that.
Yeah. But this place of rest, the promised land, that's huge. That's huge. And I have said, and I just thought of this, Curt, I'll say quite a bit that God is leading us to places of blessing, because I see that in the scriptures. I see it in Psalm 23, like a shepherd, he leads us to green pastures, quiet waters. Here, he's leading them to the promised land. But here's the problem. We don't always want to go. We don't always follow. It's like he's leading us there, but we're pulling a different way. And sometimes he's like, all right, have it your way, because we are stubborn. We're stubborn people whose hearts turn away, and our hearts turn away from him and toward other things. And so he's trying to lead us to good places, but we don't view it that way. And so we continue to fight him on it. And it's really crazy when you think about it. And I don't know why you keep doing it, Curt. I don't know why they keep doing it.
I'm telling you, it's the thing. I think that's the point of this whole psalm, is that it's a contrast of this is God's absolute greatness, his absolute authority, his absolute desire to love and care for us like the sheep of his pasture. I mean, again, if it were only mountains and thunder and rumble and all of that, then you could say, well, it's just a power trip.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, he actually wants to take care of us, and actually does, and we are blind to it so often. But yet, when we actually come and bow down, and that's what a posture, right? Yeah. I don't know. There are not, at least in my current religious setting, I guess is what I would say, and even in my own personal study, there are not very often that people get down on their knees.
Yeah, true.
Literally down on their knees and worship.
Yeah.
We have gotten more comfortable with, it's a posture of the heart, is what it really is. That's what it is. But maybe it really is necessary to make it a physical posture, to remind us that we are willing to serve this master. We are willing to allow this God to watch over us and to care for us as his precious flock.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think posture is important. I even find in my own practice, having palms up versus palms down can make a difference. My natural state is to sit with my palms down, that if I spend time in prayer and I think of lifting my palms up, even if they're on my lap, it's more of a posture of openness and receptivity, receiving something from him. And I think bowing would also signify something important of allegiance and his lordship. And the fact is, as kings were supposed to do, they're supposed to take care of their people.
Yep.
And I think you've mentioned that before. There was a kind of a understood contract that we give you our allegiance and you will help us in life.
Yeah.
So if only you would listen to his voice today. I think that's an important word.
That's it. Yeah. That's it right there. Yeah. I mean, that's it. I just love that.
You can't listen to his voice tomorrow, because tomorrow doesn't exist. No, tomorrow doesn't exist.
tomorrow. You can show up and try and listen to it, but why wait?
But it doesn't exist. Tomorrow is a concept in our mind. All we have is right now. All we have is today.
Yeah,
we can't go back and listen to him yesterday. We can only listen to him today. And if only you would do this, you would discover everything from the first part of this psalm.
And I really, anybody who knows the story knows that they wandered in the wilderness all that time. But in verse 10, where he says, for 40 years I was angry with them. Why? Because for 40 years they tested him. 40 years they ignored his voice. I don't know the math. I can't do the math enough. How many days is that got thrown away? 365 times 40 is
exactly
12,000 days that were
13 probably. I don't know.
Yeah, round up.
Yeah. And the thing is, at the very end, it says, they will never enter my place of rest. There is a rest that God brings to us. There's a rest he offers us. Only comes as we listen to him, only comes as we align ourselves with him. So if you would only listen to his voice today, perhaps you can enter into that place of rest as well.
Yeah. You almost, as you're reading this, it's like, well, what's verse 12? I mean, surely there's a verse 12, but kind of circles.
Let's take a look-see here. Oh, no, there's not.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a fairly, I think, fairly simple psalm. It's a fairly straightforward, but it's just beautiful.
It is.
The message that it's sending is, so this is the thing. Years ago, I built a set of bunk beds for the kids. They were like a fortress. I mean, they were never coming down, man. They are really heavy. And so as the kids started moving out, it's like, who wants the bunk beds? Nobody wanted the bunk beds. And so I said, well, we can take them apart. They don't have to be bunk beds. See, they could be 2 single beds. Nobody wanted the single beds. So
they can be a couch.
So they turned it. So what I did was I turned them into, I cut them apart and I made a kneeling rail.
Oh, nice.
I made a kneeling rail. And you know how often I use that?
Every day. Every day. Never.
It's it's all set up. It's all ready to go. And boy, having read this and then talking about it today, Dave, really reminds me that it is something I need to use. I need to change my posture, physical posture, to change my heart posture.
Just make sure that you've made it right so that when you're getting up and you push on the kneeling rail to help yourself up, it doesn't flop over.
I made it. I really did a good job with it. It's beautiful.
We've had some of those in churches, and they're supposed to be used for like weddings, but you can't use them because when the couples go to get up, it just kind of, which is never good for a wedding.
I've got it against a wall, so it won't go anywhere. So
okay, well that works too.
Works too. But I think I do think it's a good call, and I think that's one of the things when you're reading Psalm 95 and several of these psalms, as you're reading them, there is a call to action. I mean, if you just look at that, if only you would listen to his voice today, just start there. If you can't get down on your knees, at least listen. Open your ears for him who has ears to hear. Then you kind of change your direction.
Amen.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So don't just read these. Live them. Lean into them. Ask what is this psalm asking of me? And this one, at least for me, it's listen to his voice today. As you said, Curt, don't wait till tomorrow. And as I said, tomorrow is just a construct of our mind. We'll never reach tomorrow, but we can listen to his voice today.
I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thanks for being here.
96 next week. We're reading Psalm 96.
Yeah. Wow. And we started with 69. So
it's like we're almost done.
That's something. We're counting down to Psalm 119.
It only happens once every 150 Psalms.
That's true. Mm-hmm. All right.
Well,
it's been great being with everyone who's watching. I hope you're growing. I hope you're getting something out of these. And I'm just so thankful that we have technology that we can record these and drop us a note, leave a comment, let us know how the Psalms are blessing you and how they're changing you. And until next time, hang on to the one who's hanging on to you.
Excellent.
That's my new tagline.
Hashtag. All right, guys. Love you.
All right. See you guys. Bye. I told you about the funeral I did where the back of the hearse came unlatched.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, they were going up a hill and it came unlatched.
No, you're making this up.
No, the casket came out. It rolled down, and at the end there was like a drugstore, and it burst through. And it finally stopped at the back, and it popped open. And the guy looked at the pharmacist, the dead guy, and said, "Hey, do you know how to stop this coffin?"
Number 82. It has 4 minutes of black at the end. And so the pastor's husband, he said, I stayed on that thing and watched all 4 minutes thinking that there was a special little blooper at the end.
What he didn't know is that was the blooper.